Stop scrolling. What I'm about to tell you, most men will never hear, and most women won't tell you. But if you listen closely and if you understand this, it will change the way you are seen forever. Because the truth is, attraction isn't about money, cars, or muscles. It's not about the lines you memorize or the image you try to project. Those things grab attention for a moment, but they don't make someone unforgettably drawn to you, the kind of pull that lingers, the kind that makes a woman think about you even when you're not around, that comes from something far deeper, something almost invisible yet undeniable. Imagine this: a man walks into a room and without saying a word, everyone notices him. Women feel something in his energy. There's calm, there's confidence. There's a subtle power that makes them curious, makes them want to understand him, makes them want to be around him. That pull isn't learned from Instagram. It isn't taught in schools. It's cultivated inside him, quietly, deliberately, through mastery over himself, his mind, his presence, and his energy. And here's the thing, this isn't a trick, a game, or something superficial. This is the kind of attraction that turns heads, creates respect, and sparks deep, almost magnetic connection. But most men will never know how to harness it. Most men chase approval, validation, and attention, and that pushes people away. The rare few, they stop chasing, they become. They cultivate presence, confidence, energy, vulnerability, and mastery. And that is when the impossible happens. Stay with me until the end of this video because what I'm about to reveal will blow your mind. You're about to learn the real unspoken secrets that make women deeply, unconsciously drawn to men, not the ones everyone talks about, but the ones that actually work. By the time you finish watching, you'll see attraction differently forever. Let's start by addressing something most people get completely wrong when it comes to attraction, especially the kind that runs deep and lingers in a woman's mind. It's not about the flashy car you drive. It's not about the money in your bank account or the designer clothes on your back or even how perfectly you can pose for a picture. Those things are surface level, and while they might catch the eye for a moment, they don't create a lasting impression. They don't make someone feel drawn to you in a way that is magnetic, natural, and undeniable. The truth, the kind of truth most men will never hear, is that real attraction is built on presence, depth, and energy. And these are things that money can't buy, status can't fake, and appearances can't substitute. Think about it for a moment. You've all seen men with everything the world tells you should matter: wealth, power, status, yet somehow they fail to capture anyone's genuine attention. Why? Because attraction, at its core, is a psychological and emotional experience. It's not transactional. It's not a checklist of material possessions. It's about how a person makes someone else feel when they're in the same room. It's about the energy they carry, the subtle cues in their presence, and the quiet confidence that says, without words, I am comfortable in my own skin, and so can you be around me. Presence is one of the most misunderstood qualities in men. People talk about charm or charisma, but presence is different. Presence is a calm, grounded energy that draws people in without effort. It's the kind of energy that makes people want to stay in your space, listen to what you say, and feel safer just by being near you. It's not loud or flashy. It doesn't need to announce itself with gestures or possessions. Presence is internal. It's cultivated through self-awareness, through knowing yourself, your values, and your purpose. And women, even subconsciously, pick up on it immediately. They feel it before they even register your face or your smile. That is why some men can walk into a room with nothing to their name, yet command attention effortlessly. Depth is another element that cannot be bought or faked. Depth is more than intelligence or knowledge. It's the understanding of life, the ability to navigate emotions, and the capacity to carry experiences without being defined by them. A man with depth doesn't just talk about trivial things or follow the trends of the moment. He has perspectives, philosophies, and insights that are unique to him. Women are drawn to that because it signals stability, wisdom, and emotional resilience. When someone has depth, you don't just see them, you feel them. You sense that they have lived, learned, and evolved, and that there is a story behind the person in front of you. That story and the energy it creates is infinitely more attractive than any material possession. And then there is energy, the most elusive yet most powerful force of all. Energy isn't about physical strength or loudness. It's about how your inner state resonates outward. Are you tense, anxious, and needy? Or are you calm, confident, and intentional? Women are wired to sense energy on a level that goes beyond logic. They feel it in the way you move, the tone of your voice, the way your eyes hold attention. Energy can either repel or attract. It's magnetic when it's aligned with confidence and authenticity. It's repelling when it's fueled by insecurity and desperation. This is why some older men, even if they're not conventionally handsome or wealthy, hold a certain allure. Their energy is steady. It is powerful, it is rare, and it signals something far more valuable than any temporary attraction. It signals stability, strength, and safety on an emotional level. Now, I want you to understand this fully. The things that make a woman deeply drawn to you are almost always invisible at first glance. They are the unspoken qualities, the subtle signals, the internal mastery that radiates outward. When a man focuses solely on external validation, money, status, image, he is missing the foundation of real attraction. Material wealth can spark interest, yes, but it cannot sustain desire, it cannot create emotional investment, and it cannot make someone feel a genuine connection to you. What sustains deep attraction is presence, depth, and energy, the things that are invisible but profoundly felt. So, how do you cultivate this? First, by knowing yourself. Self-awareness is the key to presence. When you understand who you are, your values, your strengths, and your weaknesses, you stop trying to impress and start existing in a way that naturally commands attention. People, especially women, can sense authenticity from a mile away. You don't need to shout about your achievements, the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to life, the calmness in your confidence speaks louder than any words. Second, cultivate depth by experiencing life fully and reflecting on it. Read, travel, explore, learn from mistakes, engage in meaningful conversations, and develop perspectives that are uniquely yours. Depth isn't something you can copy from someone else. It comes from living consciously and thinking critically about your experiences. And when you have depth, you carry a magnetic intelligence that draws people to you without trying. Third, manage your energy. This means understanding your emotional state and learning to regulate it. Being in control of your energy doesn't mean suppressing emotions, it means channeling them effectively. Calm, composed energy creates an aura of safety and attraction. Desperate, anxious, or reactive energy repels. Women are drawn to men who can hold space without needing constant validation, men whose energy makes them feel both challenged and safe at the same time. Let this sink in. Material possessions will come and go. They can attract temporary attention, but they cannot create lasting magnetism. Presence, depth, and energy are timeless. They define how you are perceived and, more importantly, how you make others feel. And this is the real secret that most men never realize. Attraction is not about what you have, it's about who you are. So, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Stop chasing what the world tells you will attract women. Stop worrying about superficial markers of success. Instead, invest in yourself. Build your presence. Cultivate depth. Master your energy. Become someone rare, someone authentic, someone magnetic. When you do this, attraction is no longer something you need to pursue. It becomes a natural consequence of who you are. Remember, women feel before they see, they sense before they understand, and they are drawn to the invisible qualities that money and status can never buy. Become the man who embodies those qualities, and you will not just attract attention, you will create a presence that leaves an imprint, a lasting impression, and an undeniable pull. And here is the powerful truth to close with. The foundation of attraction is not external, it is internal. Build that, and the world will respond to the energy you radiate. The moment you stop chasing and start becoming, you don't just attract, you command, you inspire, and you leave a legacy in every interaction. Let's talk about confidence. but not the kind of confidence that is loud, flashy, or desperate for validation. Not the kind that demands attention or tries to prove something to the world. That is not what draws people, it repels them. The kind of confidence that makes women deeply and unconsciously drawn to older men is quiet, calm, and unwavering. It's the type that doesn't need to announce itself because it exists at a level that transcends words. It's subtle yet undeniable, powerful yet gentle, commanding yet completely non-threatening. And this is something most men misunderstand completely. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most magnetic qualities a man can possess, and yet so few men truly master it. You see, arrogance is loud, arrogance is demanding, arrogance seeks approval and attention. Confidence, on the other hand, Airs none of that. Confidence simply is. It is a state of being, an energy, a presence. It is the calm understanding that you are enough, that you are capable, that you can handle life, and that your value is inherent, not granted by external validation. Women, particularly those who are perceptive and emotionally intelligent, notice this immediately. They don't always understand why they are drawn to it, but they feel it in their core. Now, here's something most men don't realize. Confidence is not something you can fake. You can try to talk loudly, dress sharply, or post images that suggest power or status. But if your internal state is insecure, needy, or uncertain, it will leak through everything you do. Women feel it instinctively. They feel the tension, the desperation, the doubt. And no matter how many external markers of success you display, if the confidence isn't real, it won't attract the kind of attention that matters. Real confidence comes from mastery over yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and your life. It comes from knowing your worth without needing to constantly prove it. What makes this even more profound is the way confident men handle pressure and adversity. Women are drawn to men who don't panic, who don't react impulsively, who can maintain composure in challenging situations. Confidence manifests in the way you face difficulties, the way you make decisions, and the way you treat others, not just in how you present yourself when everything is going perfectly. When a man demonstrates calm assurance under pressure, women sense a deep sense of reliability, stability, and security. They recognize that this man is someone who can handle life, nay, they can trust with not just moments, but with emotions, with space, and with vulnerability. That is far more powerful than any outward show of wealth or status. Let me tell you a secret that many men overlook. Confidence is not about dominance. It's not about control. It's about mastery. It's about understanding who you are, what you want, and how to pursue it without needing to dominate or intimidate others. A confident man doesn't compete for attention. He commands it effortlessly by existing authentically. He speaks when he has something meaningful to say, and he listens with intent. He doesn't force interactions. He creates an energy that naturally draws people in. Women pick up on this energy even when they aren't consciously analyzing it. It's an invisible force, yet it is overwhelmingly powerful. Confidence also intersects with patience. Women notice the way a man handles waiting, not just for results, but for people, for opportunities, for life itself. A man who is impatient, anxious, or frantic signals insecurity. A man who can be patient, who can move deliberately, who understands timing and rhythm, signals mastery, maturity, and presence. This is why older men who exude confidence are often seen as magnetic. They've learned the art of patience, of pacing themselves, and of understanding the natural flow of life. That patience is a reflection of inner stability, and stability is profoundly attractive. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Confident men understand boundaries. They are not afraid to say no, to stand firm, and to protect their energy. They don't bend over backward to please others or chase validation. They don't let their self-worth be dictated by reactions, approval, or attention. This creates an invisible aura of respect and power. Women sense it, and it triggers an instinctive draw. There is something incredibly alluring about someone who knows their value so clearly that they don't compromise it for anyone. Confidence without arrogance includes respect for self and others, and that combination is magnetic. There is also a subtle psychological truth here. Women are drawn to men whose confidence signals competence. Competence doesn't mean perfection, it means capability. It means being someone who can navigate life effectively, someone who is reliable, someone who takes ownership of their actions. Confidence is compelling because it communicates competence without needing to declare it. And women, especially those who are sensitive to deeper layers of attraction, notice competence before they even register other qualities. It's an instinctual, subconscious reaction to strength and stability. Let's talk about how this translates into daily life, because many men hear about confidence but never understand how to embody it. Confidence is reflected in posture, in tone of voice, in eye contact, in decision-making, and even in silence. A man who stands tall, who speaks with clarity, who makes choices deliberately, and who can be comfortable with pauses in conversation exudes more attraction than a man who tries too hard to impress with flashy words or actions. Confidence is lived, not performed. And here's the final, perhaps most shocking truth. Confidence is not about what you have, but who you are becoming. It's not a final destination, it's a process, a journey of self-mastery, self-awareness, and self-respect. Every step you take to strengthen your mind, your emotional resilience, your discipline, your focus, and your character increases the confidence that radiates outward. The women who are truly drawn to older men are sensing not just the present moment, but the trajectory. The man who is constantly growing, improving, and becoming someone rare and rarefied. That is far more alluring than wealth, looks, or status ever could be. So if you take one principle from this, let it be this. True confidence is quiet, calm, and unwavering. It doesn't need to dominate, prove, or force attention. It comes from mastery over yourself, from competence, from emotional stability, and from patience. It's subtle, but it is irresistible. It creates attraction at a level that is almost instinctual. It makes women feel safe, inspired, and curious all at once. And remember this, confidence without arrogance is not just attractive, it is transformative. When you cultivate it, you don't just change the way women perceive you, you change the way the world interacts with you. You create a presence that commands respect, inspires admiration, and draws attention naturally. You become someone rare, someone magnetic, someone unforgettable. So start today. Stop trying to appear confident and start being confident. Master yourself, stand tall, speak with intent, move with purpose, handle life with calm assurance. The moment you do this, the energy you carry will speak louder than any word, louder than any possession, louder than any attempt to impress. True confidence is invisible. Yet it is the force that pulls people in, the force that leaves lasting impressions, and the force that sets you apart from every man who will never understand this secret. The powerful truth to leave with you is simple. Confidence is not earned through appearances. It is built through mastery of self. Become that man and the world will respond to the energy you radiate in ways you never imagined. Let's explore something that is almost invisible but profoundly powerful. Energy. The energy you carry, the vibration you emit, is far more influential than words, actions, or appearances. It's subtle, yet it defines how people respond to you, and for women, it is often the unconscious force that draws them in before they even notice anything else about you. Most men overlook this entirely. They focus on external markers, what they say, what they wear, how they look, but fail to realize that women are feeling the frequency you radiate long before they register anything superficial. And this is where the truly magnetic men stand apart. Energy is not about physical power or dominance. It's not about appearing strong or loud. It's about emotional presence and inner alignment. Women sense energy in ways that are instinctive, almost primal. They feel it in your movements, in the cadence of your voice, in your posture, in your gaze, and even in the silences between words. They pick up on whether your energy is grounded or scattered, calm or reactive, stable or chaotic. This is why two men who are identical in looks and status can produce completely different reactions in women. One's energy can draw people in like gravity, while the others can push them away without him even realizing it. What makes energy so powerful is that it communicates without explanation. You don't need to describe yourself as calm, composed, or confident. Your energy broadcasts it naturally. Women instinctively respond to it. They are wired to sense it because energy reflects internal states. Your confidence, your emotional stability, your clarity of purpose, your sense of direction. If your energy is scattered, frantic, or anxious, it signals instability. If it is centered, purposeful, and steady, it signals mastery and safety. And here's the critical part. Women are drawn not just to safety in the obvious sense. They are drawn to emotional and psychological safety, the kind of energy that makes them feel at ease, curious, and alive at the same time. The energy that attracts is often calm yet intense. It's calm because it's grounded in self-awareness and emotional control. It's intense because it reflects purpose, passion, and direction. When you operate at this level, women can sense it, even if they don't consciously understand why. Your energy tells them that you are a man who can handle life, someone whose presence will not destabilize them, someone who is strong but not controlling. This combination is almost magnetic. Now, let's dig into a truth most people never talk about. Energy is cumulative. It's not just the energy you show at a given moment. It's the result of the life you lead, the habits you maintain, the boundaries you enforce, and the self-mastery you cultivate. Women feel the history of your energy. They sense whether a man has lived consciously, whether he has faced challenges and emerged resilient, whether he has learned to control his inner state. A man who has cultivated his energy through discipline, focus, and self-awareness radiates a subtle power that cannot be imitated. Women notice it because it signals maturity, strength, and depth, all qualities that are far more attractive than superficial charm. Energy is also a reflection of emotional intelligence. How you handle yourself when things don't go your way, when life challenges you, or when others test your boundaries tells volumes. A man whose energy remains steady in adversity signals competence and reliability. A man whose energy fluctuates with every minor stressor signals insecurity. Women are wired to detect this instantly. They feel it in micro-expressions, in tone of voice, in posture, in subtle cues. Your energy communicates more truth than your words ever could. That is why some older men, even without being flashy or overtly charming, have an almost magnetic effect. Their energy has been tempered, honed, and refined through life experience. Another element of energy that is overlooked is alignment. Women are drawn to men whose energy aligns with their purpose, values, and vision. If your energy is fragmented, if you are reactive, inconsistent, or scattered, women sense it, and it subconsciously creates tension or discomfort. But when your energy is aligned, when your actions, words, and presence reflect clarity, intentionality, and self-mastery, it radiates a magnetic coherence. This coherence is powerful because it signals that you are a man who knows himself, who knows what he wants, and who moves through life intentionally. It is invisible but felt, subtle yet overwhelming in its effect. Energy is also contagious. The way you hold your state affects everyone around you, especially women who are sensitive to emotional and psychological cues. If your energy is high, stable and grounded, it uplifts those around you. If it is chaotic or insecure, it destabilizes them. Women are not consciously thinking about this, but they feel it in a profound way. Being aware of your energy, managing it, and cultivating it consciously is one of the most powerful things you can do to enhance attraction. Here's the part most men get wrong. Energy is not about being aggressive, dominant, or overly assertive. That is force, not energy. True magnetic energy is quiet, steady, and intentional. It does not chase, it does not demand, it does not need validation. It is self-contained and emanates naturally from someone who has mastery over themselves. And when that energy is combined with the other qualities we've already discussed, presence, depth, confidence without arrogance, it creates an irresistible, almost gravitational pull. The psychological reason this works is simple. Humans, and particularly women, are drawn to patterns of stability and mastery. Chaos and unpredictability repel on a subconscious level. Consistent, grounded energy signals reliability, emotional security, and competence. But it is not just about being predictable. It is about being predictably aligned with your values and purpose. That is the subtle distinction that separates men who are superficially attractive from men who are deeply, unconsciously magnetic. So, how do you cultivate this energy? First, by mastering your inner state. Emotional control, mindfulness, and self-awareness are not optional, they are essential. Second, by living a life of purpose. Energy is amplified when it is directed towards something meaningful. Third, by maintaining consistency. Your energy must be as steady, reliable, and coherent across your actions, words, and presence. Fourth, by practicing reflection and growth. Your energy becomes stronger as you refine your mind, body, and spirit over time. Let this sink in. Energy is invisible, but it is felt before anything else is noticed. It communicates strength, stability, maturity, and safety. It is the force that draws women in long before words are spoken or actions are seen. It is the subtle primal language of attraction that cannot be faked, bought, or superficially learned. It is cultivated, honed, and refined through conscious effort and self-mastery. So if you take one principle from this, let it be this: your energy defines you more than anything else. It radiates your inner state, communicates your presence, and attracts people in ways you cannot consciously control. When you cultivate calm, grounded, purposeful energy, you create a magnetic force that draws women in, inspires admiration, and leaves a lasting impression. And here is the final truth to leave you with: energy is the invisible currency of attraction. You can have all the looks, all the wealth, all the status in the world, but if your energy is scattered, reactive, or insecure, you will never create deep, lasting attraction. Master your energy, align it with your purpose, stabilize it through self-mastery, and you will not just attract, you will magnetize, you will influence, and you will leave an impression that cannot be ignored. The powerful takeaway is this: your energy is not a reflection of the world, it is a reflection of you. Cultivate it, refine it, and master it, and the world will respond to you in ways you never imagined. Now let's talk about something that most men misunderstand completely, yet it is one of the most magnetic qualities a man can possess: vulnerability. And when I say vulnerability, I don't mean weakness, I don't mean oversharing or clinging to others for validation. I mean the quiet, deliberate courage to be fully human, to show parts of yourself that are real, raw, and authentic. Vulnerability is what separates the men who are superficially attractive from those who are deeply, unconsciously magnetic. Women sense it instantly, often before they understand why. They feel it in your energy, in your presence, in the subtle layers of your personality. Vulnerability is paradoxically one of the strongest expressions of power. A man who is willing to be vulnerable signals that he is secure in himself, that he has mastered his ego, and that he understands the balance between strength and openness. Most men fear showing vulnerability because they associate it with weakness, but the truth is the opposite. When you allow yourself to be seen, even in your imperfections, you communicate confidence, authenticity, and emotional depth. Women are drawn to this because it creates trust, curiosity, and a sense of emotional safety. They sense that this man is not just performing a role, he is real, and that reality is magnetic. Think about it. The world teaches men to hide their emotions, to appear invulnerable, to maintain a facade of control at all times. But this facade, while superficially impressive, creates distance. It creates walls. It communicates, even unconsciously, that you are untouchable, inaccessible, or emotionally unavailable. Women sense this distance, and while it may create initial intrigue, it never creates deep, lasting attraction. Vulnerability, on the other hand, breaks through those walls. It invites connection. It signals that you are human, approachable and self-aware, yet still strong and in control. The beauty of vulnerability is that it is deeply intertwined with authenticity. Women are drawn to men who are not performing, who are not hiding behind masks, who are not trying to be someone they are not. When you show vulnerability, even subtly, it communicates that you are living honestly. It communicates that you have self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and the courage to face life without hiding. That is profoundly attractive because it signals that you are capable of intimacy, connection, and understanding. It is one thing to say the right words or display the right behaviors. It is another entirely to radiate authenticity through the willingness to be vulnerable. Vulnerability also connects directly to emotional intelligence. A man who is willing to acknowledge his emotions, who can express them appropriately, and who understands how to manage them demonstrates mastery over himself. This is not about being dramatic or overly emotional. It is about clarity, honesty, and emotional responsibility. Women sense this sophistication intuitively. They notice the difference between someone who is emotionally reactive and someone who is emotionally aware. Vulnerability, in its truest form, is the language of emotional maturity. Another critical aspect is the balance between strength and vulnerability. A man who is constantly vulnerable without grounding himself in strength risks appearing weak. Conversely, a man who is all strength and no vulnerability appears distant and unrelatable. The men who are magnetic find the equilibrium. They show strength, composure, and mastery over their lives, but they also reveal their inner world selectively, intentionally, and authentically. This selective vulnerability creates tension, curiosity, and fascination. Women are drawn to men who are not entirely transparent, yet not entirely closed off, men whose layers invite exploration and engagement. Vulnerability also demonstrates courage. It takes courage to admit mistakes, to share struggles, to express genuine emotion, and to risk rejection. This courage signals that a man is capable of facing life on his own terms. Women sense courage at an instinctual level, and it is profoundly attractive. When a man demonstrates vulnerability, he shows that he is not controlled by fear or ego. He shows that he can navigate complexity without losing himself. That ability to face life with both openness and resilience is magnetic beyond words. Furthermore, vulnerability fosters trust. Women are naturally drawn to men they can trust. Men who are not threatening, men who can communicate openly without manipulation or pretense. Vulnerability signals honesty and reliability. It says, without words, I am not hiding anything from you. I am presenting myself fully, and I respect you enough to be real. This kind of energy is rare, and rarity is inherently attractive. When a man can combine vulnerability with presence, depth, and calm confidence, he becomes someone unforgettable. Let's also address a subtle truth. Vulnerability does not mean over-explaining yourself. It does not mean seeking validation. It means being aware of your emotions, expressing them appropriately, and allowing yourself to be human without fear of judgment. A man who has mastered this knows when to share, how to share, and with whom. He does not give everything away indiscriminately, because mystery and restraint are essential elements of attraction. Vulnerability, when executed with intelligence and self-awareness, amplifies magnetism rather than diminishing it. This brings us to another layer, emotional resonance. Women are drawn to men whose energy resonates with theirs on a deeper level. Vulnerability creates resonance because it allows them to feel safe in mirroring their own emotions and experiences. It allows for connection beyond superficial levels. Women are drawn to men who can meet them emotionally, who can hold space for their feelings without judgment, who can navigate intimacy without losing composure. This is what transforms casual interest into deep attraction. Vulnerability is also the key to authenticity in action, not just words. It manifests in small gestures, in tone, in attentiveness, in empathy. It is the subtle acknowledgement of human imperfection, the willingness to admit mistakes, the courage to communicate honestly, and the ability to act with integrity even when it is uncomfortable. Women notice this because it signals character, reliability, and depth. They feel it even before they consciously analyze it. The paradox is clear. The men who are most deeply attractive are often the ones who are most willing to show their humanity while maintaining strength. They are not rigid, unfeeling, or invulnerable. They are fully human, fully aware, fully present. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the ultimate expression of confidence, self-mastery, and emotional intelligence. And women are unconsciously drawn to that combination because it signals both safety and excitement, stability and depth, accessibility and mystery. So, if you take one principle from this, let it be this: vulnerability is a form of power. When you show it authentically, selectively, and intentionally, you create an energy that is magnetic. You foster trust, you demonstrate courage, you amplify authenticity, and you invite connection. Women are drawn to this energy because it is rare, it is real, and it is aligned with strength and self-mastery. Remember, vulnerability is not about exposing every flaw or seeking approval. It is about being real, honest, and emotionally present while maintaining integrity, strength, and composure. It is the invisible force that transforms ordinary attraction into deep, unforgettable magnetism. When combined with presence, depth, confidence, and aligned energy, vulnerability becomes the glue that holds it all together. The powerful truth to leave you with is this: the men who are truly magnetic are not perfect, they are human. They are willing to show who they are without fear. They are strong yet open, composed yet authentic. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the secret language of attraction, the bridge to deep connection, and the arc of a man who has mastered himself. Embrace it, cultivate it, and watch the way the world and women respond to the energy you radiate. Finally, let's talk about a principle that ties everything together, the one that turns all these qualities into an unstoppable force of attraction. And that principle is self-mastery over chasing attention. Too many men make the mistake of believing that attraction is about effort, about trying harder, about bending, performing, or seeking approval. They post, they boast, they overcompensate, hoping to catch someone's eye. But what actually creates deep, lasting attraction is not chasing, it is becoming. It is cultivating a life, a mind, a presence, and an energy so compelling that women are drawn to you naturally, without force, without manipulation, without games. Chasing attention is rooted in scarcity. It is the mindset that you need someone else to validate your worth, that without approval or recognition you are incomplete. And that mindset is not attractive. It is visible, even when subtle. Women feel it in micro-expressions, in tone of voice, in gestures that are unconsciously needy. They sense desperation before words are spoken, and no matter how much effort you put into external appearances, that energy repels rather than attracts. Deep attraction comes not from scarcity, but from abundance, from a man who is whole, grounded, and purposeful on his own. Self-mastery, on the other hand, communicates abundance. It signals that your value is inherent, that you do not need constant external validation, and that you have control over your own life and emotions. When a woman senses this, it creates an irresistible pull. She doesn't need to chase you. She wants to be part of the energy and life you've created. This is why older men who have invested time in understanding themselves, in building discipline, in cultivating strength, and in mastering their minds, are often magnetic without even trying. Their lives are compelling because they are lived fully, consciously, and intentionally. Let's break down what self-mastery over chasing attention really entails. First, it means focus. Focus on your purpose, your goals, your growth. When your energy is directed toward meaningful pursuits, you exude competence and stability. Women sense that you are building a life, not waiting for someone to approve it. Second, it means emotional control. Mastery over your own reactions, over your internal state, over your desires and impulses creates a calm, grounded energy that is profoundly attractive. A man who is reactive, anxious, or easily destabilized cannot hold the same magnetic force. Women sense emotional security before anything else. Self-mastery also involves boundaries. The men who are magnetic know how to protect their energy, time, and focus. They do not bend to others' whims for the sake of temporary approval. They are selective in where they invest attention, and this selectivity communicates self-respect. Women are drawn to men who respect themselves because respect is contagious. Boundaries create an invisible framework that signals maturity, integrity, and inner strength. They are the lines that define a man's energy, and women are intuitively drawn to men whose energy is well-structured and self-contained. Another element of self-mastery is independence. Independence is not isolation. It is the capacity to thrive without relying on others for validation, attention, or direction. Women are unconsciously drawn to men who are self-sufficient because it signals security, competence, and emotional stability. A man who can stand alone, make decisions, and pursue his path without needing constant reassurance carries a unique magnetism. He becomes the kind of man whose presence is valued, whose company is desired, and whose attention is earned rather than demanded. Self-mastery also cultivates patience. Women notice the difference between men who are impulsive, frantic, or desperate for results, and men who can move deliberately, with intention, and in alignment with timing and rhythm. Patience is a reflection of confidence, stability, and trust in oneself. It communicates that you are not easily rattled, that you can endure challenges without losing composure, and that you can navigate life with clarity. This kind of energy is rare and deeply attractive because it signals a man who is secure in his journey and deliberate in his actions. Now consider the psychological dimension. Women are drawn to men whose lives and energy are abundant. Abundance is not about wealth, it is about presence, purpose, and energy. A man who is abundant in his mindset, in his focus, in his emotional and intellectual life, radiates a force that cannot be ignored. It is magnetic precisely because it is independent of external validation. He does not chase approval because he already knows his worth. And that certainty, subtle, calm, powerful, is irresistible. Self-mastery over chasing attention also creates mystery and respect. When a man is not constantly seeking validation, his life becomes compelling. Women are drawn to men who have layers, who are not entirely transparent, who operate with deliberate energy and intention. That selectivity, that focus on becoming rather than performing, generates curiosity and intrigue. It signals that this man is not easily swayed, that he has control over his life, and that he is someone worth investing in. Attraction at this level is almost unconscious. It is felt, not calculated. This principle also reinforces everything we've discussed so far. Presence, confidence, energy, and vulnerability all intersect with self-mastery. A man cannot exude calm confidence without mastering himself. He cannot radiate magnetic energy without alignment and purpose. He cannot demonstrate authentic vulnerability without strength and self-respect. Self-mastery is the foundation that holds all these qualities together. It is the invisible force that transforms individual traits into a cohesive, magnetic whole. The shocking truth is that most men will never understand this. They chase attention, validation, and approval, thinking that external recognition is the key to attraction. They exhaust themselves trying to impress, manipulate, or perform, and in the process, they repel the very energy they are trying to capture. But the man who masters himself, who prioritizes growth, focus, and alignment over external validation, becomes magnetic in ways that words, looks, and possessions could never achieve. Let this sink in. Attraction is a reflection of your internal state, not a performance for someone else. The men who are most deeply and unconsciously Attractive are those who invest in themselves first. They focus on becoming rare, authentic, aligned, and in control of their energy. They stop chasing and start becoming. And when they do, the world responds in ways that are almost inevitable. Attention, admiration, and deep attraction become natural consequences of their presence, rather than something that needs to be pursued or forced. So, if you take one principle from this segment, let it be this: stop chasing attention, stop performing for approval, and start mastering yourself. Build your life, your energy, your presence, and your purpose. Become someone whose existence is magnetic, whose energy is compelling, whose depth is undeniable. When you do this, attraction is no longer something you seek. It becomes a natural reflection of who you are. The powerful truth to leave with you is this: the most magnetic men are not the ones who chase, they are the ones who become. Master yourself, and everything else will follow naturally.